right, guys. Welcome to the episode of Pick Money, the podcast. Here with my buddy Tyler Ramsey. You might be the as they would say, the fit you got, the look you got. You're probably the best looking person we've had on here. Honestly.
My God.
I'm just saying, like, dude is like always looking like this, always ready to go. We are in LA, you can tell.
Yeah.
And it's great to have you on the podcast, man. How are you?
I'm terrific. I'm in a great mood now in this moment because I'm excited about this. I have a great time with you. But I'm all like things just in life are going really well. So
Tell us about that. First of all, tell us about you. For people that don't know you,
Yeah.
Let me give you some background first. When I met, I'm a big fan of people's energy, how they carry themselves, and how they make other people feel. So we had not met. I love Pastor Matthew. I'm at an event. You come over, introduce yourself, and I'm like, this guy, and I didn't realize your history. Like, I love the Dream Center. You're like, dude, I love it too. I was here.
Yeah.
You know? But tell us about Tyler Ramsey, and I have some very specific questions I want to get. Because what we're trying to get people to understand, Tyler, is there's a better way.
Right.
Meaning, like, when we were talking, we were joking on, when I was working at the state, I had this kid that was decided he thought he was doing me a favor by beating a shot of another kid that was in a program. And I'm like, dude, that's not our program. Like, there's a better way.
Yeah.
Like, okay, the kid was annoying me. Like, I was a young worker in my 20s. You're 18. He's 18. You don't get to beat the crap out of each other. But for the folks with us, we're trying to get them to disseminate between fact and fiction.
Okay.
Meaning, and we call it Pick Money because at some point in time in your life, whether you got kids, parents you take care of, causes you want to donate to, or hell, you're just trying to take care of yourself. At some point in time, you do need to go, I'm going to need some money to do that.
Yeah.
I'm going to need to learn how to do that.
Yeah.
And you figure those things out. So if you could start by just kind of giving us some background on you, man, so our viewers know who they're watching.
Sure. I'll lay down some context. I'm an artist, and I've been a professional artist since 2006. I got a killer art gallery around town that we together did an interview together. And I also spent 10 years working in reality television before I was an artist, before I was a visual artist. And that has given me skills. I used to cast, produce, and direct reality TV shows.
Right.
And that involves thousands and thousands of interviews. And so now I also have a podcast that I shoot out of my gallery, and it's called Painful Lessons Podcast.
It's amazing.
And
Gallery's amazing.
It takes all of my skills that I've accumulated through life, all of these skills that I have interviewing people through the years, and I also think it's an extension of my art. I'm a painter. I'm what's called a mixed media artist, which means I paint, but I also add photos. I also add neon, and I think that this podcast that I do is an extension of that. I mean, you've seen my gallery; it's
Correct.
blown out with art. And then what we have in common and where we met is this place, the Los Angeles Dream Center, which is this next level miracle for the city and really for the world. And they take anybody in and they will help anybody. So that includes people with addictions, which includes me. That includes people that are homeless, families that are just like having trouble meeting the rent and about to get kicked out of their place. It takes sexual traffic victims. There's a whole floor for women that have been sexually trafficked. And they take them in, they provide them with a safe space, and they protect them as long as they need. So that could be a week, that could be a year, that could be longer. And if some of those victims have families that they need to find, they will go out of their way to put families back together. So they rebuild lives is what they've done. So I've spent a lot of my life dealing with issues around sobriety. My primary struggle has been alcohol, but the reason for years that I couldn't keep any real sobriety is because I also would. I was never interested in just like feeling all of it. I would give up alcohol for maybe months or years even, but I would smoke weed or take Adderall or do all these other. So I was never present. And I've been to some of the greatest rehabs in the or let's just say some of the most expensive rehabs in the country, and a lot of them worked for periods of time until they didn't. This place, the Los Angeles Dream Center, incorporates God into the program, and it has been what works for me. And so I'm about 4 years sober.
Congratulations.
And thanks.
You're welcome.
And I got a strong posse out here of like warriors that are equally passionate about being sober. And together we do everything we can to help people that are struggling, help people that reach out and say, hey, I don't know what to do and I'm trying to get better. And everyone knows that is how you stay sober, is by continuing helping other people. So the most productive tool in my toolkit is to recommend this place, the Dream Center. So anyone that's struggling, if they can handle it, I tell them to come here.
Well, I want to get to that, but reality TV.
Sure.
How did you get into that? What was that about? What like walk us through that?
Yeah.
The whole concept's crazy interesting to me.
You know, and like, it is crazy because reality television in general is crazy. When I was a kid, I wanted to become document nature, and specifically, like I wanted to go out and like film like lions fighting hyenas, or you know, so it's like
that would be badass.
That's a dream, right? That's a dream. It turns out I learned that it's real boring to document. It's like animals most of the time do not do anything.
They're just
interesting.
hanging out.
They're just hanging out. But people are always doing something that's interesting. And there's nothing like more fun than when you are on, like I just love this, when you get a crew of people and you're making a reality show and the whole crew is around watching these people that you've spent, gone through like exhausting effort to cast. Let's say like I worked on a show called The Real World. That was like my first gig in reality television.
Yeah.
And we were in and I was living in Hawaii.
Yeah.
Like it was like, and we had this cast of characters that just went like from the moment the cameras went on, they just went nuts. And it was just drama gold all the time. Well,
Drama gold.
Drama gold. The closest thing. Do you fish?
Yes.
Oh, okay. It's like I think that there's like something so awesome in fishing. It's like you're waiting, and if you're fishing with a group, especially like deep sea fishing, everyone is kind of sharing the lines.
Yeah.
So when someone gets something on, everybody's is equally pumped. Yeah. We've been waiting all day. What is a black marlin? It's a black, and then you can see the thing. It's kind of like reality TV, where it's like all of a sudden something starts to happen. Everyone's been working so hard to create an atmosphere where hopefully something will happen. And like the camaraderie of a set is awesome. Like the types of people that I used to work with in like reality television, it's like all creatives, but all these just like these fascinating, fun people that have come from all over and it's like when I got into reality television, it was, I think it was like 2000, or it's like maybe in the late 90s, and it was just starting to pop. Like MTV was just exploding with.
I remember The Real World.
Yeah, The Real World, and it was like this real cultural phenomenon. And everyone, so people kind of, who knows what they all graduated from college and stuff, but somehow they found themselves in this really exciting new industry. It was like the Bitcoin of the day, right? It's like, and it was just like a blast. And so I would, the shows that I worked on that were so exciting. It's like I worked on Survivor.
You did?
And, travel the world. Like it's like spent 3 months living in trees in the Amazon.
Really?
Like, here I just wrote.
Dude, how much of that is real and how much of it is scripted?
Any show that I've ever worked on is all real. Any show that I've ever worked on is all real. The lazy shows are the ones that are scripted. Those are the lazy half-ass shows.
How many of them do you think nowadays are scripted, reality TV, percentage-wise? Some, most?
Probably half. And it's a result of budget. it's expensive to be patient enough to let things actually happen. It's expensive. And it's easier to give, not even a script, but just a little outline. Hey, we're hoping this happens. Problem is, like, there's a reason that, like, if you've noticed, there are only so many actors that are in, like, the movies. Like, it's getting to a point where you can almost, like, if it's not Ryan Gosling and a few other people, it's because it's difficult to be a good actor. And so it's like most people do not, if they give a performance, it's going to be terrible. So you end up seeing these terrible performances. That's a problem with these lazy shows. But Survivor, like, you get fired immediately if you told someone what to do.
Really?
If they found that you were being a lazy producer. Same with Real World. You'd be fired immediately if you try to coach someone.
You had just, like, ungodly amounts of hours of just footage, content, taping, waiting for the gold.
Waiting for the gold.
Drop.
Waiting for the gold. We used to shoot for 6 months, and I think it was like for 13 episodes or something.
How many hours a day?
24.
24 hours a day,
24
6
hours.
months.
Several crews.
Cameras rolling.
I mean, it's so expensive. It's like they were just throwing away money back then. I mean, it was crazy, and it was just like every day I was like fishing. Man, I hope something happens.
What was the craziest thing that's happened on one of those shows?
The craziest thing. This is like a moment that's remembered in reality TV, and it was for this Real World episode or Real World season in Hawaii, and there was this girl. Her name was Ruthie, and she had she had a drinking problem. It was a big deal, and she like there's this one highway in Oahu it's like threads in and out. Oh, it's like if you take a wrong turn, you're gonna fall off a cliff. Yeah, and she got into a car drunk, and somehow in the middle of, and we were following her.
We following her. She's drunk.
Yeah, we could listen to what was happening, and we realized halfway through, as we're following her, she had got into the driver's seat and was driving, and we could see this car kind of swerving all over the place.
Who was driving when you were following her? Somebody else?
I happened to be driving the van.
But who was driving her car?
It's some dude, and then I think the dude was. What happened? Probably the dude was like, "I'm a little bit drunk. I can't drive.
You take.
We have a van chasing us," and she's like, "I got this." And so they each got out without even slowing down, and we only knew it because we could listen. We had ear, they're mic'd and everything, and finally they pulled over. She was blacked out. And it was one of the most dangerous things I've ever seen. But it was one of the very few moments where a producer had to step into the
reality
scene.
No longer is we gotta stop you from.
That was kind
yourself.
of a big moment. And like we had this one show that was like that I also think was kind of outrageous, and it got even back then. This is way before woke. This is like even back then it got canceled, and it was for Fox. And the show is called Dude, I Think I'm Gay. And the premise was a guy would get $50,000 if he convinced his friend and the people around him that he's gay. And he has to go through several things. Yeah. And then at the end, he has to convince a dude on a date.
So he's a straight guy.
Straight guy.
50 grand being convinced everybody around he's gay. What year was that?
And he has to do like 2004 or something like that. And he has to convince, finally he goes on a date and he has to convince this gay dude that he's gay on the date. But it's two dudes who are doing the same thing. It's two straight dudes who don't know. Yeah.
Who each think the other's gay.
It's so awkward. Yeah. And then one show that I worked on that was so fun was called Joe Millionaire, and it was
I remember that.
It's a huge.
These are all like blast in the past.
At the time, it was the biggest hit ever, and it was a guy that went on this. He would date all these girls as if it was as if he was the Bachelor, and then at the end, he's like, "Dude, guess what? I'm not really so rich, but do you still want to marry me?" And then they were put on the spot, and then we shot a second season. And it was such a big phenomenon in America.
What percentage of those women you think wanted to marry him after they found out he didn't want to be
None
married?
of them. None of them.
None of them.
None of them.
Not even one.
They were totally put in this unfair position. And And then they shot a second season. They're like, how are we going to beat it? And so they decided to take it to Europe and find all these European women. And my brother had just graduated from college and didn't really know what he wanted to do with his life. And I was like, I have the greatest gig. You get ready. And so his job for like 6 months was living in Europe and just going up to attractive women,
Finding women
getting
for the
them to be
show,
on the show.
casting them.
He says I was a bit of a bully growing up, and I'm like, that evened it out.
Yeah, you're all set. We're square now.
Yeah. I also got him a job. He also got a job on Survivor for a period of time, testing out the stunts that they would do.
Really?
So he would like run through all the stuff. Yeah. His name's
How was that
Ashton.
guy that ran it? Is it Jeff Probst? How's
The single best host on TV.
really?
Yeah. The highest quality individual, like just the sharpest tack, fantastic guy.
Just great dude.
Great dude. I met my wife on the show, and
She worked on it as well.
she was a contestant on
The
it.
contestant.
My wife is such a badass. My wife just ran a triathlon this last weekend without training. Like maybe did a couple of jogs.
How old is she?
She is 41.
Wow.
Yeah, she's 41.
No training.
A beast. No training. I have other buddies, and they're posting, thank God I got up at 4 a.m. for months and months before, and thank God I put all this. I'm like, my wife just showed up.
train.
Yeah. Immediately afterwards, had both kids, holding both kids.
Yeah.
Just like what, I've one time ran what's called a sprint triathlon, which is a much shorter version, and milked it for weeks afterwards.
She was ready to go as soon as she was done.
Oh my gosh. She's like, what are we going to do next? This was just this last weekend. I couldn't believe it.
Dude.
But she was a contestant on the show, and I was working on the show. It was season number 17. And you're not supposed to.
I would assume not.
No, it's a rule. It's a rule for good reason. Yeah. And I broke it and really caused a real issue on this thing. Yeah.
But it was worth it.
It was worth it. Even as I'm talking about it now, and I have wonderful memories of being on the show, and all the people that work on the show I really love and everything. But you never like to disappoint with anyone, and in that moment, I broke a rule. But man, was it ever worth it? Yeah.
So you were never back on that show.
What'd you say?
You were never back on that show.
No, thank God it was literally, I think, kind of the reason I was so cavalier about the rule is that I just kind of transitioned to becoming a full-time artist. Yeah. It was the last gig that I was gonna do, and in some ways, I had it in my head that I was kind of doing. Like they called me at the last minute. And they're like, I know you're not doing this anymore, but we need like someone that dropped out. Can you go replace this one crew guy? And I also was having a trouble. Let's say sometimes I was sober. This time I wasn't. So I was just had this party attitude. Yeah. And kind of like a senior who's you know how like once seniors find out what college they're going to get into, they're just like sober.
Nothing to lose.
That kind of attitude. I remember Mark Burnett. He was not happy. And instead I got this call. Hey man, we understand that it's like we kind of heard that something was happening, and immediately I'm like, I was pretty careful about it. What I realized is that they cast these shows so that they only find like people that pay attention to everything around them. Like those are the people they want especially Survivor.
And those people were watching.
They were watching. Yeah, they were watching. So silly. I could, and instead of just going, all right, I'll just just go home? I didn't do that. And I was in Africa. Like a child, I just decided to run away and literally disappeared in this jungle. And they had to send like a mercenary to come find me.
Stop.
No, I'm not joking. They had to send a mercenary to come find me. And it was a huge drama. And I remember at the time, I was just like, this is embarrassing.
How long were you in the jungle for?
Oh, it was like a couple of days.
So you just took off. Like, I'm running home, I'm taking my ball, I quit, like a kid.
Like a kid.
It happened,
because,
you reacted.
I'll tell you what I reacted to. I was like, I did do this, but I didn't do it in the way that you're confronting me with it. And so in some ways, this is an injustice. I mean,
So here's my reaction to your injustice.
this is my reaction. I'm just gonna like disappear. You'll be sorry. And
What'd the mercenary say when he found you?
I was in a jail at the time. So I had found, by the time he found me, I had found a dude on this island in Africa. We had traveled from Gabon, Africa, to this country called Sao Tome, Africa, which is literally the smallest country in the whole world.
Okay.
They speak Portuguese there. I know some Spanish, and that doesn't work. So I needed a translator to help kind of get me into this jungle. I think I needed some supplies.
Yeah.
This translator I hired ended up being wanted for abductions.
Really?
Yeah. So at one
would've
point, the CBS sort of put out like an APB, like find this guy, and like they called the government, they're like find this guy. So people were talking, and then they found me, and as soon as they found me, they got very upset that I was with this guy, and so because I couldn't communicate with them, they took us to this little jail, and when this mercenary found me, he just opened this door and he's like, "Are you okay?" I was like, "Hey man, I'm real sorry. I'm real sorry about this."
He's like, let's go.
He's like, "Let's go."
Like your dad showed
And he's like,
up.
"Why are
Time
you
to
with
go.
that guy?"
Yeah.
And I was like, "I don't know. He was hiding me." And they're asking him some questions. They're asking him some questions about maybe he's wanted for abductions.
Yeah, you don't want to be around him.
Yeah, I don't know
So
why
you
you
lucked
hired
out.
there's a chance that I found a guy that's a kidnapper.
In the middle of the
and while
smallest
walking
country in the
around
world.
with him was like, "I'm a pretty big cheese."
So what year was that?
That was like 2005.
So for people that go through this, that was 05. What year did you come to Dream Center?
Okay, let's see. It's 2024. I think it was. It must have been. It was in COVID, so it was. I don't know why I'm blanking on this math. 2019. 2019.
When was the first time that you, not somebody else, that you knew, man, I got a problem, and I need to try to fix this shit?
Oh, that's a great question. The very first time, it was in like high school.
Really?
All of a sudden, yeah. The very first time I had anything to drink, I thought that I was like had a magic potion that was. I had so much fear growing up.
Of what?
I had my father when I was younger shot himself in the head, and he lived through that, but he was mangled as a result forever. And I had a stepdad that I love very much and did the best he could, but it was an abusive relationship. I think I was a tough kid, and I think he did he probably only had so many tools that he knew how to use.
Yeah, he's doing what he could do.
I probably would do the same thing. I mean, it's like, who knows? I mean, times are different now. And I love the guy, but I just had a lot of fear. I had a lot of fear all the time, and I was always kind of pushing the boundary of authority, and alcohol would make it go away for a bit. And any drug that I've ever looked for, anything is like, that's what I've always wanted it to do, was to make kind of fear go away and just feel present, not have this other thing. And within like a minute, I realized that I couldn't drink like everybody else because it was, I was immediately, anytime there would be a party, I grew up in Oklahoma. We would have some great parties in the field and trucks spinning around and digging up the trench, what do we call it, trench and stuff. And I always managed to black out at the end of the night. And so I really kind of feel like it was kind of a fun life of the party. But then towards the end, usually there was something that I had to apologize for later or something like that. And that was my big issue until I think it was about 2000. All of a sudden, it's like 2008 8 or something, all of a sudden, then I found myself where I couldn't go like a day without putting something in my body. I couldn't. And one thing that I'm, at one point I transitioned from being working in reality TV and telling stories that way to I got into visual arts. The reason I did is because it takes forever in the medium of, let's say, writing a script, even working on a TV show. It takes forever to get a vision and to show someone your vision. A painting, I can make someone and I can just show them immediately. So it took some time, but I was eventually drawn to that. But the real, when I kind of came out with it was 2006, and around that time I also found a doctor that would prescribe me a ton of Adderall if I wanted, and it would prescribe me a ton of Xanax if I wanted, and for a period of time, Adderall was friggin' amazing, and I found that I could take the prescribed amount, or I could take the whole bottle, and I'd stay up for 5 days straight.
Yeah, productive.
For the first 3 days, I'd make some incredible art. I might even write a whole script. The last 2 days would be nonsense. And then I would rest for a week and then get back on it. And it was productive. It was very productive until it stopped being productive. I mean, everything that I've ever tried worked for a little bit, and then it stops working. And once it stops working, you don't stop taking it. It becomes this incredibly destructive thing in your life. And
so I've always been, when I came here the first time, which is now 6 years ago, I was amazed by a number of things at the Dream Center.
yeah,
But one of these I asked Pastor Matthew probably the third time I was here, I said, hey man, how do you all maintain this where it's like y'all kind of police yourselves?
yes,
Like there's no, I was a social worker 14 years. Every residential facility, in any capacity, substance abuse, homeless shelter, every one of them had security, and some quite a bit of security.
sure.
And then here, when you walk around, like if a fight broke out here, like I told Pastor Matt the other day, he needs a ring. There needs to be a boxing ring here at the Dream Center. I said there needs to be a ring.
That's a great idea.
It needs to be a ring. So there has to be.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that would be amazing.
Yeah.
And then some of the guys are like, yeah. And I'm like, dude, there'd be some legit fights.
That are
in
legit
here, 'cause
fights.
their guys can throw hands, right?
Yeah.
Why does it operate with this open door? All these people from all walks of life and different stages of, trauma.
Yeah.
Coming in fresh off the street, like you just used, you're now here. Why does it work so? What has the Dream Center got figured out that these other programs don't have figured out? What are and the God, at the faith thing, every time I listen to somebody's testimony, it brings me to tears.
To tears.
What are the things they got figured out here that other people should replicate and don't?
So there's one more element to that.
Okay.
Is that it also half of the people come from prison,
Okay,
right?
that's true. Yep.
So there's also
Yeah.
a prison mentality that
True.
half of the people come in with, and which involves no snitching, which it's like there's a defensiveness that happens, and so when I discuss this, we have to keep in mind that there's also this miracle that isn't the overall attitude.
It doesn't take over.
It doesn't
It's not
take
the
over.
overriding culture or theme.
It's not. It gets anyone that comes in with that culture, attitude, let's say set of policies, that goes away. So the answer is, I guess it's like from Jesus on down. There's a whole element of forgiveness, and there's an element of nobody is judging anyone for what they do. If somebody has a testimony, everyone shares their testimony at one point. Everyone shares this testimony, and it gets really deep. Some people are like, I've hurt my kids. I've hurt people around me. Maybe even someone died as a result of drinking and driving. Maybe it's like some really, really gut-wrenching, hardcore testimonies. someone has to forgive themselves, and they have to feel that the other people are not judging them. In some ways, they have to feel like everyone, the other people have forgiven them, around them have forgiven them for what they've done, and it creates a brotherhood. If you go into prison or jail, it's the opposite. You're not. Everyone is judging everybody. Everyone is always judging everyone. So I think that's the big difference. And to a lesser degree, that's anyone let's just say on the outside, anywhere in the world, it's like you get a sense that everyone's judging you. Even if we're talking about the yard outside, kids in the yard, or we're talking about social media, anything, kind of get the feeling everyone's judging you and there's a front. And when we're all in this together, we're all dressed the same. We're all we have this uniform on. We've all been stripped down to the very minimum, and there's no like head dog. There's
no ego.
There's no ego.
Can't be.
Yeah, there can't be.
You're all.
There can't be. And there are fights that do break out sometimes, but for the most part, there's almost zero violence. And there is, you're absolutely right in that the inmates all of a sudden are kind of running. It's like at one point, the people kind of graduate, and it's not like they graduate, but they're still in this program.
Yeah.
But you get a little bit, it's not even authority. It's just that you
freedom,
are able
respect,
to help something
delegation.
run.
You get to do some things. And
Yeah.
because the funny thing about it, when I watch Pastor Matthew talk about people is, the power of delegating. It doesn't, I spent my first X amount of years in business doing everything on my own because I was like, dude, I'm just going to do it. Number one, I'm not lazy.
Yeah.
I know how to do it. I also have had a lot of other failures, so I'm good at this. So I'm gonna live in this because I'm good at it.
Sure.
And then it was like, wait a minute, all the people around you are looking at you because you won't delegate anything to them. So they think that they're incompetent, which I didn't think.
Yeah.
It was my issue, not theirs. But you see around here where it's like, no, and that was messed me up. I'm like, you work here? They're like, no, I'm in program. I'm like, but you're like, right? They're like, I'm in whatever level. I'm like, oh shit. So you just have more freedom. They delegate stuff for you to do, which builds your self-image up and builds you up. And I think, when I came here and listened to the testimonies, I like to watch. I came with a group of people. We were at another faith-based. There's real faith-based, and there's alleged faith-based.
Yeah.
It's faith-based, but it's my money. It ain't faith-based, promise you. And so I was already very skeptical. My mom is a devout Christian. We were raised in a Baptist church. My mom and dad split. My father is not remotely spiritual, religious in any capacity.
Yeah.
So if I was with him on the weekends, whenever it was, and even when I wasn't, it got to the point where we were so inconsistent, my mom we just kind of faded away from the church. But what's crazy is I can remember being raised in that church. And then I can remember when I was going to get married that my fiance is Catholic.
Yeah.
And she said, you need to convert to Catholicism.
Okay.
And I was like, dude, I'm like, whatever. I'm in my 20s. Like, fine, I'll convert to Catholicism.
Yeah.
I want to marry you. Cool, do it. So I had to go to I think they were pre-Caner classes or something. So I go. This lady, she was 91, so she's long since dead. And I'll never forget her. She just starts killing everybody. She's like, basically everybody's going to hell. So the first 2 hours what I got was everybody's going to hell except for her. There's a couple good Catholics going to heaven. Everybody else goes to hell.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting in the corner and I'm debating, do I leave? I have to go to these 8 classes. I can't get married in the cathedral.
Right.
And there's a guy, Father Tony, who's sitting over in a corner, who's still alive, well into his late 80s. And he's looking at me and I'm looking at him. I don't know him. He walks over and says, how are you? I said, I'm good. How are you? He says, good. He said, did you ever used to be in good shape? And I said, I'm in pretty good shape now. And he goes, I boxed in the Bronx. So I, of course, spit back and I'm like, you're a little old to be talking shit, Father.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? God's on your side, but you're a little bit old to be talking shit. So we start, he goes, what do you think about the class? I said, truthfully? Yes, it's awful. And I'll never forget, he looked at me and he said, I need you to remember something. That lady's doing the best she can based on the way she was raised in the church.
Yeah.
we've changed a lot. People change a lot. He said, I'm not going to lie to you. She's not going to change. She's going to be. Matter of fact, there was a kid in a group, young kid, raised his hand and said, you know, what do I do? My brother is homosexual. What do I do? She said, nothing you can do. He'll go to hell. I'll never forget. And the kid like starts crying. I'm like, yo, what is going on here? You know? But I've never been in a place that has less judgment than here. Ever. Like, never.
Oh my God.
Never.
Agreed.
Not just, yes, the people that are in the program, people that visit the program, the way they are. And for me, when I saw it, I'm like, but I was skeptical.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I got to see what's happening and what they do. And then I started, as a businessman, I'm amazed this runs with no government support in any way, shape, and form.
That's so bonkers. That's absolutely bonkers.
I can't even imagine the day-to-day.
Yeah.
I can't. When I see the trucks and the food and the people, I just can't even imagine. But it continues to run day to day. What would you? So
it is an army. It is an army that's doing the work of an army.
No doubt.
Yeah.
Like you know, and changing the world. We look at what they're doing.
Yeah.
You know, and you said it well earlier. Like how much just additional carnage and wreckage has been avoided because this place is here.
100%. For every person that's in here. That is working on themselves, that represents, at the very least, a mother that's not heartbroken that her son isn't, or son or daughter
doesn't
isn't
even know where the son or daughter is. Are they alive or dead?
Yeah, in the family program, that is a family that could be falling apart. Let's say there's kids that could be developing a lifetime of trauma if they weren't here. And then for the people in the sexual trafficking, that's like. Stopping any of that horror as early as possible, like you're saving a person's like life from what is actually hell. I could go. I mean, it's like any drug addict that is not on drugs for any period of time is kept from doing that incredible damage that they eventually do to not only the people that they love around them, but just to society, and then contributing, you know, at the very least to the economy of drugs and alcohol. Like it's like, I mean, it is the ripple effects are crazy. Any homeless person that doesn't get to the point where they have to start stealing and they have a place to come out here, and then they don't. Let's say they end up not stealing from someone, and then that's another person that won't all of a sudden decide, screw all of society, I just got robbed. I mean, it's like...
Or God forbid does something stupid, and all of a sudden now they're in a situation.
100%.
Because they, you know, I never, when you said that, it really hit me, because I thought, you know, one of the things that I want to switch to is...
Wait, this neighborhood was garbage before they moved in.
Hey, and by the way, it ain't what it was.
Yeah.
But it's still, it is what it is. Yet nobody, I remember I came here the first house, I came for the first Christmas party. I said, Pastor Matthew, there is hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of gifts out here. He said, yeah, I know, it's amazing, right? I go, no, somebody's going to steal them. He goes, oh, nobody's going to steal them.
Nobody.
No, we leave the gates open, ain't nobody coming to steal them. And it just really hit me. But he put the time in, building those relationships and showing up and showing up and showing up. Because what happens to most people, it's like the podcast. How long have you been doing your podcast for?
6 months.
Okay, and it's an unbelievable podcast.
Thank you.
Unbelievable. But when you start looking at the amount of people that get to 100 episodes, 2, 3, 4. And I had a guy recently say something to me that really messed me up, because he was like on my podcast, super great guy.
Yeah.
And he said, I'm going to be bigger, my podcast will be bigger than Joe Rogan's. And I immediately think money.
Yeah.
You'll never make more money with your pod. I love you, but I know I'm watching you. You're not Joe Rogan. And he just looked at me and he goes, no, I want to do more episodes than Joe Rogan.
Oh, interesting.
Very interesting. I was like, huh. He's like, I want to have more episodes than him.
Wow.
Now,
only 1% of all podcasters make more than 25 episodes.
That's what it was, 25. Yeah. We were trying to figure out that number the other day. One of the guys brought on the podcast. Only 1% go past 25.
Yeah.
Well, congratulations. You're one of the 1%, bro. So I want to end on this, because this is really want to get this pick money theme. You love art.
I love art.
Love it. How have you navigated doing something you love, but also making sure you support your family
Sure.
pursuing the thing you love. Because people say to me, well, if you work, if you do something you love and never work a day in your life, I'm doing it's still work. And you still got to make money. And you can't forget the fact that we live in a society that it is capitalistic and you need to get paid. How have you been able to do what you love, stay free in that, but also remember what pays the bills is what you bring in for your family?
No, 100%. Okay, first of all, I think it's crazy that any artist is able to support a meal or two. Like any artist is able to buy a meal. I mean, it's like, so I am continually really happy with myself that have been able to stick at it as an artist. It's wild to me. And I've had I never thought that it would be as hard as it is to make it as an artist. I already thought it was difficult, but I'm continually impressed that I'm able to. It's happening, and I've had 6-figure deals that I want to dance for a week and be like, hey man, I mean. Unfortunately, anytime I ever start patting myself on the back is usually when I'm gonna get kicked in the ass.
You're a little humbled.
Yeah.
We all get it.
Yeah. There is still a world of things that I have yet to accomplish. There are a mountain of people, of artists that I could compare myself with and decide that I'm a failure. So I go back and forth. When I'm an idiot, I compare myself with some of the, well, I haven't done as well as Picasso. It's like stop.
Like, relax,
stop,
bro. Yeah.
Stop.
Yeah.
And when I'm trying to skate, I'll just say, hey, man, I never thought that
I'm doing better than Tom.
Exactly. So that is always the worst thing ever. I think of success as just that I'm able to live a life that I enjoy. I can travel. My family, I can do all kinds of stuff. I am also a part of a team. My wife is a badass. I don't think I would be able to take the risks that I've been able to take if I didn't have a badass wife. I mean, my wife created a company I'll probably be the guy that has a sugar mama at the end of the day. I mean, my wife has found a niche. And it's called, there's a drink. Anytime someone's pregnant, they drink a drink, and it determines if they have something called gestational diabetes. It's this sludgy, gross drink. Every single pregnant woman drinks it. My wife works in the medical field, and she worked in OBGYN rooms and realized that the number one thing people complain about is this drink. And so she created this delightful lemonade as a replacement to this drink that every single pregnant... And now it's like the gotta have thing. So anyway, I can't for a moment take away that I'm part of a team. The other person on the team is a badass. But it's crazy. Every single time I make a big sale, have a big commission or something like that, I usually have two voices. And one is like, man, awesome, way to go, kid, and of course, because you're killing it, and what a genius. Then another voice is like, this is the last time it's ever going to happen, and both of those voices are required to keep me hungry and going forward.
I love it, dude.
Yeah.
I love it.
I mean, it's like
you're a stud, dude. You got a lot of amazing things going on. You got to see your studio, everything you got over there is unbelievable.
Thanks, I really appreciate it.
It's a must see for people.
I appreciate it.
And it's been I love this program already, but one of the things I did when first I met you was go back and say, man, to see people that were in the program doing the things they're doing, and not just for themselves, but for everybody else. So now it's also take your analogy earlier. Now you're out there, you and your guys, and you're out there on doing your thing to make sure you're limiting that additional destruction and carnage out there. There's just a trickle down effect from you being in the program. And you having some other guys. So y'all are making a difference in the world. Your boy is a stud.
Oh, my son.
Is it
River?
River.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll tell you what. How old's River?
River's 8, and he's incredible.
If he shouldn't do this, but if there was a power slap contest or Greco-Roman wrestling, that kid shook my hand, and I'm a pretty damn strong guy, and I went to give him a good handshake. He made crazy good eye contact, And I was like, man, if shit goes down right now in this area, I'm going to pick him over most grown men I know. So
Amazing.
I love the kid. Tell him that. And you're everywhere. Tyler Ramsey, the podcast.
Yeah.
Tell him about the pod.
Painful Lessons Podcast.
Yeah.
We're on Instagram. We're on YouTube. We're on Spotify. We're on Apple Podcasts. I have a website, painfullessons.com. And if you want some art, I sling art.
It's good.
Ramsey Art.
I got to get him to do a piece for me. What do you say? How do you say that? You commandeer. What do you get somebody to do when you get him to give you a piece? What's that called? What's the terminology?
It's called I'd like to commission. It's
Commission.
Like either you see something that you come by my gallery.
Can you just do one for me?
Yeah. Of course.
I don't know what it should be. You know me a little bit.
I would be delighted.
Yes, I want you to do it.
You'd be delighted.
I mean, commission. I don't even know what it would be. You come
go,
up
hey,
with something.
listen. The move is you go, listen, I feel like you know me. I kind of want a piece of art that kind of represents me. I don't want to tell you anything.
That's what I want.
I just want you to kind of surprise me with something. So I want to commission a piece, and the only parameter is like you say I want it gigantic, or you say I want it like this big or something like that.
Yeah.
Just give me an idea of size or something like that.
I want it big.
Okay, amazing.
Yeah.
And then the only other thing is you're like, sometimes some people hate a certain color. So if you're like, dude, listen, I don't want it to be all pink. I don't. It's like that's
Nothing
the
I
only.
hate.
Yeah. Okay. Amazing.
Big, nothing I hate.
Yeah. Amazing.
I trust you. We tried another guy. That guy didn't work. This is a legit
Spectacular.
guy right here. That guy drove me crazy.
Amazing.
So,
amazing.
but,
You'll be happy.
You do. I know. No doubt I'll be
yeah,
happy. We're gonna
yeah.
put it in the studio. We'll see it during the podcast.
Yeah, cool.
We'll do something amazing. But hey,
Spectacular.
first of all, thanks for getting on, man. I
My
love
pleasure.
you. Got a lot of respect for you. Appreciate you. Find him everywhere. Watch his
Yeah.
podcast. Follow him on social media if you need some art or if you want to get a piece commissioned.
Yeah.
He's your guy.
Yeah.
So.
Oh wait, and then we would be remiss if we didn't say dreamcenter.org.
There you go.
Please. If anyone, dude, it's like we're getting close to Christmas. We're getting close to the end of the year. It's like I don't know if you have a decent accountant, but everyone wants a write-off.
Amen.
It's like there. You have a bozo of an accountant if he hasn't explained that you need a write-off. It is this place. There's no place that's doing this much good in the world that maximizes every dollar. Like right now, they're feeding thousands of people with food that's donated from Amazon, and it's kind of on its like last day of freshness.
Still good though.
They get it's still good. I mean, listen, I ate it for months. I was so happy about it. They stretch every single cent. This place is run by. There's this type of person is sort of a combination of a ninja and an angel. Those are the people that are walking around. So
I love that.
Dreamcenter.org.
I echo that. Great organization. Tyler, thank you. Guys, thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, share, follow my man. He's great. So appreciate your time today, guys.